Okay, so welcome to tonight's webinar. Great to have you all along. This is, I guess, a service that I provide to my client base at Strategic Business Development, but also as part of the Horticulture, the Next Generation project that I've been running for HAL for the last 3 years. And part of that is we're providing webinars, business-related webinars for the Australian horticultural industry as well. And great to have some of the people from this year's program with us here tonight. So tonight I want to talk to you about improving customer service in your business. And I think customer service in particular is one of those issues that we often take for granted. And I really believe it's important that you actually sit down and have a good hard look at your customer service and think about what you're trying to do and how you can improve it. And we'll take a bit of a strategic approach to that. Now, in terms of customer service, why? Well, my experience is that many businesses don't have a discernible competitive advantage over their competition. So, in terms of their products and services, too many of the businesses I go into, we talk about our products and services, and our products are similar, and our services are often very similar to what the competition does. So, in many ways, the only thing we can differentiate ourselves around is customer service and do things. Now, for many customers will evaluate the quality of your business based on the level of service that they receive. And it's the small things that make the difference. And just to put that into perspective, um, how good is your doctor? So I ask you how good your doctor is. Most people go, my doctor's great. But based on what? You don't actually see the marks they got at university. You don't know the quality of their diagnosis. We don't benchmark. So we very often we don't have a benchmark for it. So what do you base your feeling that you've got a great doctor on? You base it on how they treat you, the small things they do, the relationship they build with you, the quality of the service that you get from them. So it's not the quality of their medicine often, it's the quality of the service that makes you think they're actually good at what they do. And so often I see this when my clients change, professionals, obviously not consultants, but when they change accountants, those sort of things that they realise that then they can actually compare and benchmark, and they realise some of the shortcomings of their previous provider, who up to that point had often been quite a good provider for them. So customer service is really important. It's particularly important in differentiating you in the marketplace. So in terms of actually mapping out our customer service plan and thinking about it, the first thing we need to do is to assess who our customers are. So it's a good idea to identify who your customers are. And I get people to think about them in two ways. I think, who are the internal and the external customers? So many of us are part of larger organizations where we have an internal customer that we pass information to or product to or something else. So it might be the operations department actually passes product on to the logistics department to deliver on to customers, right? Could be that. But it could be also information that you pass on. So the quality department passes on information to operations and other places to do that sort of stuff. So there can be internal customers. There can be external customers, of course. So they're normally our customers that we see. And most people think about the external customers. But often when you don't have direct contact with the external customer, you need to think more about the internal customers. I also like to think about who are the primary and the secondary customers. So you might think about, well, they're internal and they're external. That might be it. And you might only have internal or external. That's okay. But sometimes we have primary and secondary customers. And for me, the primary customers are the direct beneficiaries of our product or service. Yeah? So they're the people who actually directly get the product or service. The secondary people are the downstream beneficiaries of it. So they may get other information from us. They may get other services from us as a part of the process of delivering to the primary customer. And some of you may have sort of primary and secondary customers that fit like this. So if you actually deliver a consumer product through the supermarket chains or through an intermediary of some sort, your primary customer may very well be Woolworths or Coles or Aldi or Metcash, or whoever it is you deal with. Whereas your secondary customer could actually be the consumer, or you may want to treat them vice versa. It doesn't matter. I'm not saying one's more important than the other necessarily. It's about you've got two different layers of customers. Let's not forget about each of them. So I want you to just take a minute just to think about who are your primary customers to start with. So think about them. Who are your primary customers? And just write that down. So just note that down in your notebook. And when you've actually thought about your primary customer, I wouldn't mind you sharing that and typing it into the question area. Okay, so just take a second. Who's your primary customer? Type it into that question area. In my business, invariably the primary customer is the business owner, yeah, or the owners of the business. The secondary customers are usually the managers in that organisation, or the managers in that organisation that I work with. So they're my primary and secondary customer. We've got one here, the peak industry organisation, so obviously in horticulture. End consumers, yeah, so the people who actually consume your product. Thanks for that, Harlan. Yeah. Who else, guys? Yeah. Yeah. Owners of the business. Thanks, Seb. So you can see, you can end up with stuff. So primary owner again. Thanks, Cam. So you're seeing there are a range of different customers that you can have, and you can think about the primary and secondary ones as well. So it's a great idea just to map those out and get an idea of, I guess, who the customers are and where they sit in your hierarchy. If there is a hierarchy. So it's well worth thinking about. Once we've identified the customers and got our head around that, the next thing then is to say, okay, what do they demand from you? Okay, so let's think about what's the level of service that those customers demand from us. And I've stumbled across this rater dimension. So they talk about rater dimensions for measuring things, and that's from the Practical Handbook of Customer Service Operations by Warren Blanding. It's a commonly used set of dimensions to measure customer service. So the rated dimensions are reliability. So that's about the consistency of delivery. Okay, so how consistent is our delivery? Is it on time? All that sort of stuff. So it's about reliability. Assurance. So customers want us to be reliable, but they want to be assured that we know what we're doing. Okay, so that's in some extent around quality as well, but it's about delivery as promised. It's about the knowledge and skills of our employees or the people that are delivering it, and it's about trust and confidence in those people to deliver. Okay, so it's about all those things. So assurance, the customers wants to be reliable. They want to be assured we can actually deliver. They need to see some tangibles, and these are the physical evidence of the service that you deliver. So this can be around the quality of your office. It can be around the materials, your uniforms, your web presence, all those sort of things, the tangible things that people can look at to give you an understanding, get an understanding of the level of customer service they're going to get from you. So those things need to be in balance. Okay, so no point running a $2 shop with a fantastic fit out. You expect a much better fit out in David Jones and all those sorts of places. Bargain basement warehouses, you expect a bargain basement fit out. So that's to do with the tangibles, okay? And it relates to the quality of the service that people get. They all want to see empathy. So the other big thing they want to see is reliability, assurance. They want to see some tangible evidence, but they want to understand the empathy. And the empathy is all about relationships. Okay, so it's about understanding the relationship. So it's about the quality of the relationship. One of my favorite sayings is the quality of your business is a direct reflection of the quality of the relationships you have with your customers. Okay, so it's really important that you build strong relationships with them because customers will look at that. And the last one then is responsiveness. So the last R is responsiveness. And that's about your ability to provide high quality, fast service to people. It's about you're responsive to meeting their particular needs. So how responsive are you to their particular needs and demands? And it's also about how quickly are you able to fix issues and sort out problems. We all have problems in business and delivery at times, but how quickly are you able to sort those out? So this is all about setting the standard, if you like. So what are the standards you're going to set for your customers in terms of reliability, insurance, tangibles, empathy, and responsiveness? So I just want you to take just a minute or two to think about what's the standard that you might set for one of these rated dimensions. So just pick one. You'll need to come back and fill them in later. We've only got a 30-minute webinar, but just take one dimension and say, righto, what is it? What's the standard that I need to define here? We're going to talk about how you measure it in a second, but what's the standard? Okay, so it could be something like, reliability could be a quality measure or some sort of measure of quality in your business. Your assurance could be, a service agreement, having service agreements with every client. Could be about having live help, so on your website so they can log in and get help. Could be about website content, FAQs, that sort of stuff. Tangibles could be about having a uniform code or something like that. Empathy could be something around your contact program and I guess the matrix that you're going to use there. And responsiveness could be actually response time to orders or questions or queries, that sort of stuff. So they're the sort of things I'm talking about. So put those sort of things in. So what are you going to look at? So what's the standard you're going to put in each of those areas? I'll give you a minute just to finish that exercise off. If you've got any questions around Rater, then please type them in now. Or if you want to share one of the elements that you've thought of as a dimension, a measure, or not a measure so much as a standard that you might want to come up with, that'd be great as well. Okay, so these are all rubber minutes. So if you've got a question, please type it in, but otherwise we'll keep on moving. So what we've done is we've identified our customers. We've now said, righto, what do they demand from you? So each of those customer groups, we should be talking about the rated dimensions and setting the standards. As well as setting the standards, great to set the standard, but we also need to measure. Yeah, so we need to think about what you would measure in each of those rated dimensions to ensure you're meeting that standard. So you need to put a target measure in for the statement, yeah, in each of those things. So for example, for reliability, you might have a DIFOT measure. You might say DIFOT of 97%. So DIFOT's delivered in full on time. So it's just an acronym for that. And you might say 97% DIFOT. The assurance, you may have a quality measure. You may have some sort of quality measure that says that product defects of 99.9% or something. You might be aiming for Six Sigma or something. So you might put a defect measure in there. The tangibles, you may have internal audits that you aim for in terms of presentation and other things. Empathy, you may have a contact program and you might say, well, we're going to contact our clients every 90 days. Minimum period of contact is 90 days. That's my recommendation, that you aim for a standard like that, and have a look at our 90-day contact program stuff. And the last one could be in terms of responsiveness. It could be your average response time to an order. How quickly can we do that turnaround in order? So think about some of the measures that you will use to and set up a benchmark or a dashboard for how you're going to measure your customer service and look at it on a regular basis. Great to share this with the team and really great to make it happen. So then we've got, who are your customers? What do they demand from you? And then how do we measure success? We need to then start thinking about action plans. Okay, so I just use this simple model, and this is on page 7 of your workbook. So and I filled in some of the customers there for you, but really you need to cross those out and put your own customers in. But in terms of these things, so I list our primary customers and our secondary customers. I list the rated dimensions and those sort of things. And then in each box, I want you to enter an action into the matrix to improve your service in each customer group. So I want you to think about each customer group and in each dimension and say, what can we do to improve the reliability of the service we provide to operations? How can we improve the reliability or responsiveness or the tangibles? How can we fix that? What can we do that lifts the quality of what we do and tells people they're delivering great service to them? All right, so think through those things and create an action plan. Now you don't have to have an action in each quadrant of the matrix, in each of those squares, but for each customer you should have 2 or 3 actions that you're going to put in place, and maybe some of the actions you put in place may actually, span across all your customer groups. It could be a comprehensive action that you put in place. So I want you to take just a minute or two to do that now. So pick a customer. Pick one of your customer groups. So pick a primary customer, a secondary customer, and I want you to think of one action that you can take to improve one element or one dimension of customer service. And I want you to write that answer for me up into the question. Type that answer even up into the questions area, please. So think about it. One customer group. What's the action you're going to take to improve customer service in that area? What can you do? Okay, so improve the FAQ area of our website. Okay, so thanks for that. What else have we got? Yep. So measure response times and publish it to the client. It's pretty brave. Well done. Yeah. So look at our response times. How responsive are we? Let's tell the client about it. So publish it. Great one. Client I did some work with, we actually looked at the tangibles, and one of the things was we lifted our external appearance to match the level of service we wanted to deliver. So we actually cleaned down our trucks every day. We made sure guys had fresh uniforms, they pressed their uniforms and they looked good, shined their shoes, all that sort of stuff. So we really focused on the tangibles there. Yeah, so providing more information to growers who are members of PIBs. Great one, Trevor, thanks. Yeah, so supplier product listings are updated timelessly and enable to enable reliable delivery of products and services. Great one. So we're talking about stuff we can do here, tangible things around delivery, responsiveness, reliability. Okay, great stuff, guys. So you know this is something that takes a little bit of time. It's worth thinking through. It's worth having a good hard look at your um, at your customers and saying, what do we really need to do to lift things here? Because when your product is the same as everybody else's or is similar or is a slight variation in quality, you've got to do something more. And customer service is a really great way. It's actually a fairly cost effective way of differentiating yourself from your competition as well. Lots of other people don't. All right. I want to talk about one other thing, and that's about the Net Promoter Score. Now, this is a really powerful method to understand how effective your service really is, and it's a great one to do with your client base and to do regularly and see how it changes. So you'll find lots of companies are doing it now. Telstra and all these other companies are doing it, and what they really do is ask you one question: how likely is it that you would recommend, insert business of choice to a friend or a colleague? Give us a score from 1 to 10. And what they've found is that the scores from 0 to 6 are detractors. Okay, so they're not at all likely to promote you to anybody else. So they score you a 6 or below. It's a bit of a scaling issue here, I reckon, but the research has shown that 6 or below are detractors, unlikely to do things. People who score you 7 or 8 are passive and sit on the fence, but 9s and 10s are extremely likely to promote you, and they're the high promoters. So to calculate your net promoter score, what you do is work out the percentage of promoters from all the people who responded and subtract from that the percentage of detractors. So that's the percentage of people who scored you 9 and 10, and take away the percentage of people who scored you 0 to 6. Obviously, the bit in the middle, should be the 7s or 8s, I guess. No, that's not right. Anyway, but there'll be a gap there. Now, any score of 50% greater than 50% is excellent. Okay, so American Express is a company that I've done a lot of use a lot. I use their card a lot, and I'm a client. They score about 53% in the net promoter score. To be honest, they're one of the best companies I've ever dealt with in terms of customer service. Absolutely brilliant. So you see how hard it is to get a high quality rating. So anything above 50% is excellent. We've been doing our Horticulture the Next Generation program and talking to people who've been through the program and getting their feedback at the end of it. And we've scored 70% plus in the last 2 years across that. So that's a really great thing. We also did a net promoter score on this seminar series. So we ran a series of seminars and ran some surveys on them. And our net promoter score was 73.2%. So people were really happy with what we're doing and really happy to promote us to their friends and colleagues, which is great. So we get an ongoing flow there. So think about this for your business. How can you use this net promoter score to understand the level of service that you're delivering and whether people really value what it is that you do? Yeah. So a great thing. There's some resources in the that'll go out with a resource pack with the recording. Sorry, that will give you a little bit more insight into that. But it's a great tool to use. Build it into any surveys that you're doing with clients to get them to, so you get a better understanding of how they perceive your business from a customer service perspective. All right, going to the end here. So if you've got any questions that you want answered, you might start typing them in. If you'd like me to open up the microphones, then just type mic in and I'll open up the mic for you. So in summary, what I want you to do is define your customers, be really clear about that, internal versus external, who are my primary and secondary customers, and get that clear. Clarify their service needs. So use the rated dimensions. There are other dimensions out there. I think the rated one is relatively simple. Use the rated dimensions to clarify their service needs. Determine how you, and set their standard, I guess, so set a standard against those things. Determine how you'll measure success. So what's the numerical measure of that standard you're going to aim for? And then to develop a plan to improve that service. So use the rated dimensions, use that matrix that we gave you on page 7 to determine and develop a plan of actions for how you're going to develop your customer service. Okay, so relatively simple, but if you've got any questions, please pass them, please type them into the question box now. Thanks very much for attending today. Our next webinar will be by James Atkins. So James is a bit of a guru in the marketing sphere, and he's going to be talking to us about finding the value in your value proposition, and you'll get some emails promoting that webinar fairly soon. And that's on Tuesday, July the 8th at 5 p.m. Sydney, Melbourne time. So thank you very much for participating today. If you have any questions, please type them in. If not, then I wish you a happy, healthy, prosperous week, and I look forward to catching you at our next webinar series.